Now, coming to the quantum numbers. What I said? Quantum numbers. QUNTUM. Quantum numbers. Now, what are quantum numbers? Now, before going to the quantum numbers, let me tell you, we already studied that atom consists of large number of orbitals, because we can have large number of orientations. It can rotate in any particular direction, an electron, isn't it, in an atom. So hence we can have large number of orbitals, we can say that you need to understand. So these are designated from each other on the basis of what you can say shape, on the basis of energy, on the basis of orientation. They are being designated. What I said you, these orbitals, what you can say is that this particular one, these are designated from each other on the basis of what you can say shape, energy, orientation, what you can say distance from that of the nucleus, and so many. Now to sum up all these things, that is shape, energy, orientation, distance from the nucleus, and all these things, whatever we are having it, alright. So we have given a term which is called as quantum number, alright, which is known as quantum number. So if we can say quantum number is it gives you the complete address of an electron in an atom. It gives you the complete address of an electron in an atom. Complete address means, for example, suppose somebody asks your address. So what do you give it? Your name, your quarter number, the city, the place, the locality, and everything. Then that's a complete address. So here also same thing. Quantum numbers may be defined as a set of 4 numbers, we can say that, with the help of which we can get complete informations about an electron in an atom. It's a set of 4 numbers. 4 numbers. Quantum numbers are 4. Alright? By which we get the complete information about an electron in an atom. What is that information? Already I have discussed with you. Once again, let me tell you. Its location, its energy, the type of orbital occupied, the shape, the orientation, the distance of what you can say that particular electron from that of the nucleus, everything we can say that. That is called as a complete address of an electron in an atom. What is the energy it possesses? When it is being present in a innermost, what you can say, subshells, what is its shape? What is its orientation? Alright, what is the distance from the nucleus? Clear? How many electrons are being present? Everything, the energy it's occupied, everything we come to know. So that is called as a quantum number. So here in short I can say we are going to study about the complete address of an electron in an atom. Complete address. That is called as quantum numbers. Now quantum numbers, as you see that there are 4 types of quantum numbers. So first is your principal quantum number. Principal quantum number, denoted by the letter n, we can say small n. So the other 3 quantum numbers are azimuthal quantum number, denoted with the letter small l. Then magnetic quantum number, denoted with the letter small m, magnetic. And then we are having the spin quantum number, denoted with the letter small s, we can say that. So first we will study about the principal quantum number. Now let me tell you, principal quantum number is nothing but the informations which we got it from the Niels Bohr's atomic model. Alright, whatever the information we got it from the Niels Bohr's atomic model, that is your principal quantum number. So what we got from the Niels Bohr's atomic model? That we are having a nucleus, isn't it? And around the nucleus we are having the shells. The shells are designated as K, L, M, N. In this way it is designated as, isn't it? So we get it the first one. That we are having the nucleus. Around the nucleus we are having the shells, which are known as the energy level. Alright, the difference is here is that it is not circular. The cells are, it is spherical. Mind it that. Alright, the differences, already we have learnt it, that an atom is not 2-dimensional, it is 3-dimensional in nature. The shells are spherical here. Alright, yeah. And the name of the shell was, name of the energy level is taken to be as, already we have read it, K, L, M, N in this way. The first shell is the K shell, the second shell is the L, then third shell is the M, N, and in this way it goes on. How many cells maximum we can have? 7. We can have maximum 7 cells. We can have it because there are, you will be studying in the periodic table, there are 7 periods in the periodic table. The periods corresponds to the number of shells. Alright? So whatever the elements has been discovered, the number of atoms which has been discovered till now, so 7 cells is being enough. We can say that. Clear? Fine. Now, next is, after that we have studied about the energy of the shell, which is nothing but En is equal to minus 2 pi square me4z square by n square h square. Based upon that, we have studied that the energy of the first shell, which is said to be as energy in the ground state. When the electron is present in the first shell, it is considered to be the energy in the ground state, because that is the lowest state of energy, we can say that. Because after that, when you go away from the nucleus, when you move away from the nucleus, what you can say is that the number of shells increases as well as the distance from the nucleus increases, due to which the energy decreases. So what is energy in the ground state? Minus 1312 kilojoules per mole, or minus 21.8 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules per atom, or minus 13.6 electron volt per atom, whichever unit we may consider. Now, we also know the radius, means distance of the electron from that of a particular shell. Suppose the electron is present in the second shell. So, what is the formula? Rn is equal to n0 n square by z, isn't it? Where n stands for the number of shells, so we can put it 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, it's in arcs, and z is the atomic number, and n0 is your Bohr's atomic radius, which is 52.9 picometer, we can say that. Bohr's atomic radius, which is 52.9 picometer, that is fixed, we can say, that's a constant. Clear? So, as I said as you move away from the nucleus, the number of shells increases, the energy decreases. Alright, the energy, that is nothing but decreases. So, hence we consider, I have told you already, that when an electron is present in the outermost shell, its energy is arbitrarily taken to be as 0, we can say that. Clear? So, in this way, the number of electrons in a particular shell also we know it, given by the formula 2n square. That is, the first shell can have maximum 2 electrons, second shell can have maximum 8 electrons, third shell can have maximum 18 electrons, fourth shell can have 32, in this way, so on. So, you can ask me here, sir, we have already proved in the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle that we cannot, find out the position as well as the momentum simultaneously. Correct? Absolutely correct. But what I said, we are taking it, this one, for theoretical purposes. We are using this for theoretical purposes. Clear? Fine. Now, in this way, we know it, that is the energy of a particular shell, energy of a given shell, radius of the electron from a particular shell, alright, then number of electrons present in a shell, the designation of the shell, everything we came to know from the principal quantum number, so to say. Fine. Now, next is, after that we will come to the azimuthal quantum number. Now, this one you know it, you have studied in Niels Bohr's atomic model, you have studied all these things and we know it about it. We can say, we know it about it. So, next we will come to the next quantum number is your azimuthal quantum number. Azimuthal quantum number. There are several names of this particular number, what you can say, this azimuthal quantum number. Apart from azimuthal quantum number, we also call it a secondary quantum number, because this is principal, so this is secondary. Then next is angular momentum quantum number. You will see that we will be finding out the angular momentum of an electron in a particular subshell, we can say, or subsidiary quantum number. What I said? Azimuthal quantum number, secondary quantum number, then angular quantum number, that is we find the angular momentum of a particular electron in a given subshell, and next we also say it as nothing but subsidiary quantum number. So there are several names for this particular quantum number. Achha. What it is being denoted? It is denoted with letter small l, we can say that. Principal quantum number is by small n, azimuthal quantum number by small l. Alright, small l denoted by. Now, from where we got this particular one, azimuthal quantum number, from where we got it? Now, see, if you remember it, when I was teaching you about the drawbacks of the Niels Bohr's atomic model, I said you two effects. One is your Stark effect, another I said you Zeeman effect. Stark effect is that when an atom is placed in an electric field, when an atom is kept in an electric field, then what you find is that it shows that it splits up, or the source producing, that is the atom is placed in an electric field, then you find that it splits up into finer spectral lines, which is otherwise known as Stark effect, we can say that. That is said to be as, when you place an atom or the source, producing the spectral lines, when we place it in an electric field, then you find that it splits up into finer spectral lines, we can say that, which is nothing but another Stark effect, which I told you earlier. So here we are having the spectral lines are nothing but we consider here it as nothing but the shells, we consider that. So a shell splits up into finer subshells, we consider that. When you place an atom, then in an electric field, then it splits up into finer subshells, we consider that. Clear? From there we got an idea. It was suggested that let us say that you take an atom and you place it in an electric field. Got it? So which particular atom? We can say that multi-electron atom, because in a single electron atom or hydrogen-like species like Li2 plus or He plus, the behavior is similar to that of hydrogen only, because single electron. But if you take multi-electron atom like sodium, fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, they are multi-electron atom. Then what you find is that the electron, listen carefully, the electrons in the energy level, all the electrons in the energy level does not possess the same amount of energy. What I said, the electrons in the main energy level, that is your K, L, M, and whichever the energy level the electrons are situated, its energy is not, that electron's energy is not similar to that of particular energy level, because we already learned it in the Niels Bohr's atomic model in the principal quantum number, that when an electron resides in a particular shell, it continues to have the same amount of energy as that of the shell. But this is true for single electron atom, mind it, single electron atom, because Bohr's atomic model was based upon hydrogen or hydrogen-like species. It was not based upon multi-electron atom. So when it was seen in a multi-electron atom, it was being seen that, listen carefully, it was being seen that the electron which resides in the same level, but they possess different amount of energy. Got it? They possess different amount of energy, because this is because they move along different paths and hence have different angular momentum. What I said you, they move along different path, multi-electron atoms, so they move along different path and they possess different angular momentum, and due to that they have different amount of energies. It was being verified in case of multi-electron atom, we can say that. Repeatedly I am saying you. So thus within the same principal cell there are present a number of subshells or sub-energy levels. It was being justified in that way. So there must be some subshells or there must be some sublevels in which the electron resides. Got it? Due to which they are having little bit different amount of energy from that of the shell, we can say that. Clear? As a result, the number of electron jumps increases, and so is the number of lines, because electron jump from one level to another level. So as it jumps, so due to the electron jump as it is increasing, so definitely the energy also changes accordingly. From there we came to know this particular thing, and the Stark effect also gave us this particular conclusion that yes, when an atom or the source producing the spectral lines is placed in an electric field, it splits up into finer spectral lines. So all this, the summing up, all this what you can say, from the Stark effect and from this multi-electron atom, when we find different what you can say energies of different electrons, because they rotate in a different manner, because they have different angular momentum, from all this we conclude that inside the shell we are also having some sub-energy levels. Because electrons when jumps from one sub-energy level to another sub-energy level, then they possess different amount of energy, we can say that. From there we conclude, we can say that. So hence, to explain this particular, what you can say, this effect, to explain this particular effect, to explain this finer lines of spectrum which are present inside an atom, inside a particular cell, we can say that, the finer lines of spectrum, we can say that. So we use this quantum number that is called as azimuthal quantum number. So azimuthal quantum number will basically tell you about the number of subshells present in the shell, the energies of the subshells, the shape of, what you can say, the electrons present in a particular subshell, so we can say, the angular momentum of the electrons present in any particular subshell, the relative energies of the various subshells, because I said you when the electron jumps from one sublevel to another sublevel and subshells both are same, mind it. No difference. Sub-level and subshells both are same, because energy level and energy shells both are same. Got it? So don't get confused. So in this way, the shape of the various subshells, the energy levels of the various subshells, then the angular momentum of the various subshells, then the number of electrons present in various subshells, all these we are going to study one by one in azimuthal quantum number, so to say. Clear? This we are going to study. So let us see. First of all, how many subshells can be there? So L max, maximum subshells is equal to n minus 1. Maximum number of subshells is equal to n minus 1. So that is the number of subshells depends upon the number of shells. See, it depends upon the number of shells. For example, if n is equal to 1, that means which shell it is? K shell, isn't it? So L will be is equal to 0. L will be is equal to 0 because 1 minus 1 is 0. So what is the designation of that particular subshell? S. Like the designation of the first shell is what? K. Similarly, designation of the first subshell is what? S. Clear? Now, if n is equal to 2, it is L. L shell. Got it? Then the number of subshell is what? 1. The maximum number. So here it is L max. Mind it. I am writing L max. Let me write it down. Otherwise you will get confused. So L max is 0. Here L max is 1. So 1 means which subshell? P subshell. The designation is P subshell. Similarly, when n is equal to 3, K, L, M, then L max, the maximum value of L. Maximum value of L I am saying you. Mind it. So it will be 2. So 2 means it will be SPD. Alright, similarly, when n is equal to 4, n is equal to 4, K, L, M, N, then L max is equal to, what is that? That is 3. This P, D, F. Then we'll have G, H. In this way, we'll be having it correspondingly. S, P, D, F, G, H. Let me write it. G and H. When L max is 3, it is F. When L max is 4, it is G. When L max is 5, it is H. Alright, maximum value of L. Maximum value. Mind it. Maximum value is here, it is 0. So maximum value is 8 1. So minimum value what? It can be 0 also. Here maximum value is 2. So minimum value can be what? 0 and 1. Here maximum value is 3. So minimum value can be 0, 1, 2. Definitely. Because maximum value is 3 means minimum value can be what? Less than that. 0, 1, 2. Clear? Fine. So let me tell you again. If n is equal to 1, there is a K shell. Then the maximum value of L is 0. So what is the designation of 0? 0 means which subshell? S subshell. 1 means which subshell? P subshell. 2 means which subshell? D subshell. These are the designation I have given. Designation of a particular subshell. Alright? Fine. So first we came to know that is what is the maximum number of subshells we can have in a particular shell. The maximum number of subshells we can have. Alright, and what are the designation we came to know. Next we will see the number of electrons. The maximum number of electrons in a given subshell. Let me rub it completely. Maximum number of electrons in a given subshell. So maximum number of electrons in a given subshell is equal to 2 into 2L plus 1. The formula is. So when n is equal to 1, L is equal to 0, that is S subshell, we can say that. Then the number of electrons in S subshell will be how much? That is L value 0, 2 into 0 plus 1. So that is 2 into 1, it is 2. So maximum number of electron in S subshell will be 2. Alright, see, put it here. L value 0, you put it. So 2 into 0 plus 1. So it is 1. 1 into 2 is 2 electron. When is equal to 2, L max it is. So is equal to 1. 1 means P subshell. So P can have how many? 6 electron. See here. L value put it as 1. So 2 into 1, 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 into 2 is 6. So when n is equal to 3, so L max is equal to 2. So D subshell. So what it can be? 10. Now how am I able to write it down? See, you have read in maths APGP. So it is arithmetic progression, geometric progression. The difference is same. See, 4 is the difference. Here also 4 is difference. Next you will find 14. Next you will find 18. 4 difference. You can see. You will put it the value and see it. You can get it. No problem. L max is equal to 3. So SPDF. So 14 electron. When n is equal to 5, L max is equal to 4. Alright, that is G subshell. So it is how much? 18 electrons. Put it there. So 2 into 2 4, 4 plus 1 5, 5 into 2 is 10, so 10 electrons. Here L is 3. Alright, so L max is 3. So 3 into 3, 6, 6 plus 1 is 7, 7 2 is 14. In this way you find it out. So maximum number of electron in S subshell is 2. In P subshell is 6, in D subshell is 10, F subshell is 14, G subshell is 18. I told you a very easy trick to remember is 4 difference. You see 4 difference. So once you got 2 plus 4 6, 6 plus 4 10, 10 plus 4 14, 14 plus 4 18. In this way, you can make the trick yourself. Understood? You can create yourself. So in this way, we came to know number of electrons in a given subshell. Next is that when the electrons are filled in a particular subshell, then the energies of the subshell increases in this manner. S, then it is P, then D, then F in this way. Energies increases in this particular, what you can say, that is manner, we can say. That is, S subshell is nearer to the nucleus, then P subshell, then D subshell, then F subshell. This is the distance from that of the nucleus, I said that. Got it? Distance from that of the nucleus. Got it? Clear? So this designation, the nucleus that I said, next I will say in the next AV.